Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
And happy birthday, America, as we'll be celebrating that for the next few days.
Yes, very exciting. I'm glad that it's kind of like turns into a week-long celebration almost when it's on a Tuesday.
Yep.
So I do love that.
Day after tomorrow is the 1st of July, and then, or is it Saturday, I guess. It's
Saturday.
Saturday's the 1st of July,
Yep.
yeah.
Which is the day after tomorrow, so you had it right.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. Having one of those Biden moments, and he's had a lot of them recently about that war that's going on, huh?
Oh my gosh, the war in Iraq. I was unaware of what we were doing over there.
Putin is winning that war in Iraq. Who knew?
Let's take a look at that.
Here's the latest.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a pariah around the world. It's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations.
It's Japan?
Yeah.
When did Japan get in this?
Well, and I think the other thing is we're seeing these gaffes happen more and more often, and regardless of who you think is in charge, this is a big problem. If he was really to tell the military to do something and he got the wrong country, I think that would be a huge problem.
That could cause some issues, especially in making a speech yesterday to some union people, and couldn't get the words out.
No,
everything he said he had to correct.
Well, and that's the thing. And then saw something. I mean, we always see where he's reading the teleprompter and he says, "End quote." Yeah,
and finally, we have. I remember they used to have that. That reminds me of the stories of these guys that would read radio news in the morning, and they just read it from the newspaper, and they say, Mayor so and so pictured above. It was like, no, you don't read that part. The guy rehearsing for a play comes out, enter laughing.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's embarrassing. That's the thing. He's on the international stage. People are just like, the U.S. is pathetic.
Honestly. Embarrassing is one thing. A danger to national security is another. And of course, he gets sideways. Now, all of a sudden, the Hunter Biden story is getting to the point where even the lamestream media can't ignore it anymore. When Jim Axelrod and CBS News are actually doing stories on it and interviewing the whistleblower, it's getting bad when the communist broadcast system is starting to get on board.
Well, and I have a theory on this, but I think that they are actually looking for a way for him not to be able to run because they know that it's not sustainable. So now you're allowed to talk about the things we've not been allowed to talk about for the last 5 to 7 years. We knew about this stuff how long ago, Bill? This isn't news to us. We all knew about it.
It's not news that this guy running the Biden crime syndicate is anything new. Was being hidden, but one of the things that the media is doing to cover all this up is actually to protect Barack Obama. So just keep that in mind.
And I think that that's the thing. We kind of have to learn to read between the lines because I do think that there's a lack of trust, number one, with what the media is reporting, and that includes even conservative media. So we just have to be really, really cautious when we're believing the stories that they're telling us. But you should always ask yourself, why would they do this? How come all of a sudden after 5 years are they allowed to talk about this? Because we wouldn't have seen this 6 months ago.
Right, exactly.
So,
but it goes back to the fact that you have to learn how to speak Obama-ese when he was in line, and he said, your taxes aren't going up a dime. No, they didn't. They went up several $1,000s, but they didn't go up a dime. And now we have, I didn't know anything about my son's businesses. That's because it was his business. So obviously it wasn't his son's business. So he could say that with rather freely, and the media going, oh yeah, okay, well, so what kind of Brittany? What kind of logic do you have to have when he says he doesn't know anything about my son's business, and yet when he was vice president? And his son made this deal in Beijing where he wound up getting like $1.5 billion with his new company that he formed with the stepson of John Kerry, old Boltneck. And They have no experience practically in the field. They just started this business, and they get this $1.5 billion contract from China, and he's flying back on the. How long does it? Give me an estimate. Give me a guess. How long is the flight from Beijing to Washington if you go nonstop?
Oh, I don't know. Probably like 12 hours.
I would say 12 to 13 hours at least, and yet his son made $1.5 billion business deal, and he doesn't talk to his father about it at all on this 12 and a half or 13-hour flight. Exactly how dumb do you have to be, or how gullible do you have to be to believe that story? And yet the media goes right along. Oh, he never talked about it. Whew.
Yeah, I think that's where I have an issue, is that they're lying. You can tell that they're lying, and yet people are willing to believe, well, CNN or MSNBC, they say this. And it's like, please, critically think. Please, we need to bring that back. That needs to become popular again.
Yeah, and CNN has a recording of Donald Trump in a treasonous act. We played it for you yesterday. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Well, it didn't sound like there was any treason involved. He didn't talk about what kind of documents he had, what the documents were, where they were, and yet we've got all these tapes of Hunter Biden talking to Beijing about getting millions and millions of dollars or else, and that doesn't seem to bother him.
No, well, and here's the thing: you wait a couple days, Bill, and guess what comes out? The truth. And what he was talking about was news articles, because if it was classified documents, it wouldn't have said Millie did this. It wouldn't have said that. It was a news article that was written, and so that's what he was talking about. And the people that were in the room with him said, we didn't have classified documents. So it doesn't take long to find the truth, but once it's out there, they keep repeating it, and then people start believing it. It's not true.
Nothing gets you in trouble more in Washington than the truth.
Yes. Well.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I have been really disgusted with is the fact that we have pedophilia on the rise in this country. And we have the sheriff of the county that Disney is located in talking about how a lot of these pedophiles, they actually move there to actually work at Disney, because guess what? They have access
to a lot of kids.
I don't know why on earth we would ever allow this to happen. I don't know what we're doing in this country, actually, when it comes to children. We don't protect them in the ways that we should, and we're starting to move towards the fact that pedophiles are going to have rights.
Ignoring and they're going to have to change their names. They're not going to be pedophiles anymore. What do they call them now?
Minorly attracted persons.
Minorly attracted persons. Yeah,
MAPS.
minor attracted persons. MAPS.
No.
Yeah. So
I'm not ever changing.
They're trying to legitimize their evil.
Their sickness. I mean, it's a
evil
sickness.
Yeah.
And we have the sheriff talking about one of these individuals from Disney.
And then there's Paul Val. He's 40, from Davenport. He's married. He works at Disney World at Cosmic Ray's Restaurant. In fact, he just recently moved to Polk County from Indiana, and he moved here specifically to work at Disney World. Well, back in the day, they arrested Willie Sutton for robbing banks. He was a notorious bank robber. And they asked Willie Sutton, hey, Willie, why do you rob banks? And he said, well, that's where the money is. Well, why do people like Paul Vell work at Disney? Because that's where the children are. And they want to be around children. He had 540 counts of child pornography, from newborns to 8 years of age. He also had videos. And he was a sadomasochist. There was photographs where they had tied up babies in preparation for sexual battery. There was one where a child was just weeks old, where they had the child's hands tied behind her back. Can you believe that? A very young child with her hands tied behind her back. There's videos of a 3 to 6 month old being sexually battered by an adult male. His wife asked, she's only been married to him for a year. Did I marry a monster? Yes, you did. You married a monster. By the way, when we kicked the door in, he came to the door nude. Think about this for a minute. Photographs of children bound up, some with their hands tied behind their backs. Infants.
I mean, that does go on for some time. That was hard for me to listen to.
This is a sickness.
It's disgusting.
This is a sickness that cannot be cured.
No, it doesn't matter if you chemically castrate them with the drugs that we're giving to little children, one of them being Lupron. It doesn't matter because they're still sick and they'll figure out a way that they still need to have access to children, even if they aren't able to have their body parts work. This is a level of depravity that I can't believe we're even talking about in this country and how widespread it is. The internet has made this very accessible to people, and I think that it's been it's dangerous, Bill. I'm concerned for that people are watching this kind of stuff and thinking that this is like okay. And our kids are getting access to porn at a very young age now.
The penalties on this ought to be severe to the point of actual death.
Immediate death. Like, if you are caught doing this, you will be executed in 2 weeks. Like, I'm sorry. We've got to have some sort of law and order in this country. These people are sick and twisted. And if you want to say that they have rights after they've, done stuff to children, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. It damages kids to the point that their life will never be the same.
I couldn't believe what he was saying about the infants.
It's disgusting.
And tying the hands of a young girl's hands behind her back. It's just you couldn't possibly even make this stuff up.
Well, and guess what? Here in Savannah, we're a huge hub for this kind of stuff. What are we doing about it?
Yeah, we busted a huge ring on this 10, 12 years ago. And Savannah is extremely accessible because of I-95, and we have a growing port here that brings a lot of that stuff in. And the guys at the port do a great job of screening 99% of the stuff that comes in, but there's that 1% sometimes it gets out that is extremely, extremely dangerous. They have a big job out there, and hats off to them. We're going to be doing features on that more and more as time goes along here. But wow, this has to be taken care of very, very quickly. We have to start cracking down on these people. I mean, coming down on them with a sledgehammer. There's no other way to counteract this.
No, and we're gonna jump to break, and we'll be talking about something a little bit more positive with Travis Chance.
Yeah, with CFG Wealth Management. What can you do with your money? He's going to give you some ideas. Travis is next. At Get Real America, we are focused on Savannah, but we'd like to hear from other communities as well. We have a lot in common.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes. Welcome back to Get Real America, and it is time to get real about our finances. Once again, our weekly meeting here with Travis Chance, CFG Wealth Management, find out what's going on stock-wise and otherwise. And Travis, we're approaching 4th of July weekend. What do we have to celebrate stock-wise or investment-wise these days?
Oh, goodness. It seems like every day fireworks are going off left and right. Uh, No, to be honest with you, Bill, I really feel like we've got a lot to be optimistic about. And if I sound a little bit under the weather, I've talked myself almost completely out of a voice, so I'm doing the absolute best. So I apologize if I sound a little
Yep.
subdued.
Yeah, you're
But
coming in loud and clear.
so the summertime is usually very slow. It's usually called the summer swoon for a reason. Stocks
Hmm.
typically don't perform real well in the summertime. This summer, I think we're continuing to grind. What I think you saw was March and April and May, you had about 7 to 9 stocks, the big AI craze, if you will. But most of the market really didn't move. You basically saw the other 490 plus stocks in the S&P just kind of move sideways. And I think what you're starting to see is the breadth and the width of the market, the recovery start to widen out where we've now got and they're like weathermen, they're wrong more often than they're right, but analysts coming in saying now potentially recession 25% risk versus 50-50, could be into 2024. So I really think July could be a pretty decent month, and I'm still of the opinion. I think S&P and the market itself is going to continue to move. Maybe not 20% higher, but single digit higher between now and the end of the year, and I think 2024 could be a surprise to the upside. So I think it's time to set off the fireworks, eat some burgers, relax a little bit, and watch it go. So.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was a story came out yesterday that said that the egg industry has hit the comeback trail. We got chickens producing more eggs now, and prices have come way down there. That could mean a lot elsewhere. It's the price of eggs.
Well, inflation in general, Bill. I mean, let's face it. I mean, you and I have talked about this off air, on air. We dumped $6 trillion of gasoline on a fire.
Hmm.
It had to burn down, right? I mean, it was just blazing hot, and that's inflation. We had a period of time where we just had way too much money chasing way too few goods. You had bottlenecks with COVID, and couldn't get deliveries, couldn't get
Hmm.
shipping containers. I mean, it was just the perfect storm. So I do think inflation's continuing to come down. I think everybody will be a lot happier with this year's barbecue than last year's barbecue as far as the grocery bill is concerned. But I do think we have more reason to be optimistic than pessimistic at this point.
Yeah, I think so. One of the things that they also mentioned was that the overall, with the prices going down with eggs and everything else, is also an investigation into all these billions of dollars that that they're trying to recover now that were given out during COVID to people who really didn't deserve it. All sorts of investigations going on at that point. That could have something to do with it too, could it not?
It could. It could. And let's face it, you and I both know as long as there's been a free government handout or program, there's been fraud, waste, and abuse to go with it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it just is what it is, and it's something that's going to run its course and work its way through. And they'll get some of it back. Some of it, I guess depending on what your last name is up in Washington, maybe you'll get it clawed back. Maybe you won't. Depends. So yeah, I don't know if I'm sure you've touched on that with your listeners, but completely non-finance related. The math on that justice just doesn't add up. But that's not why I'm here. I just felt like I had to interject that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. No problem. Yeah, I'm going to identify as a president's son, so I can get some
Yeah,
more, and
yeah.
get
Two
several
and two
million
don't
dollars.
equal four on that one.
Once again,
Yeah.
let's either tamp down some rumors or hear some things because the advertisers for gold and everybody else come out of the woodwork. But they're talking about a digital dollar now that could go into effect. Here we are staring July in the face, and they said that there may be some. There's a push in Washington to go to a digital dollar, which means that the government could literally control how much money you spend and where you spend it.
I think you and I, Bill, we've talked about this a few shows back. I
Hmm.
just I don't see it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. We talked previously. 94% of all transactions are digital. So for all intents and purposes, we don't have a check ledger anymore. Most people don't keep a check ledger. They don't keep a bank book. They don't keep a savings book. Where you actually wrote down longhand every single transaction, every single interest input.
Right.
It's just it's the wave of the future is basically how much and how fast can we go digital, how fast can we take it digital.
Hmm.
Could they do a digital currency? I mean, I think it's possible. I just think that the silent generation, your generation, the boomers, I don't see them going silently into that gentle good night. I think that would be too much kicking and screaming. Now, my kids' generation, my children's generation, yeah, I think that's entirely possible. I think Bitcoin kind of broke the framework of what people's comfort zone is. I think it made people more comfortable with having just that digital currency. And let's face it, the government's not going to miss out on something that they can use to their advantage. So, I think it may be further down the road. Could it happen? Sure, but in the next decade, 2 decades, I don't see it.
Good news. Meanwhile, there's a talk about continuing discussion. AMAC, a great organization, has a fantastic magazine they put out every month. And one of them just recently talked about, and we also discussed this a little bit earlier, but we have new viewers and listeners all the time, about the de-dollarization that a lot of countries are. There's a big push, especially by China, to go off the dollar as the world's standard of currency.
I think if China went off of the dollar, it would be economic suicide. Full stop.
Hmm.
Because let's face it, China is not doing as well as people think they are.
Oh,
China
I know.
is struggling. So the fact is, China's been a manipulator of their currency for decades,
Right.
and you and I both know it. We've seen all the evidence. Anyone who's looking, they can see it. I just don't see the stability in a country that can literally at any point their dollar is or their currency is pegged. It is literally worth what they deem it to be, what they deem the value to be. They can change that at any point, and they have, and they've done it in the past. I don't see. Are countries a little unhappy with the U.S. right now? Yes. Saudi Arabia, South American countries, China, Russia. I mean, let's face it. We do not have the best foreign policy right now. We do not have. Let's face it. But at the end of the day, I share with you my story about going to Argentina. The first thing they ask is, please do not give us our dollars. We want your dollars. And I asked the question, I said, why? said, because we know that our dollar is not going to be worth what it's worth today, and your dollar, even though it may fluctuate, we know we have something, we have a store of value. The U.S. currency is, we might all be in a bad neighborhood, but we're still the best house in a bad neighborhood. So
Yeah, that's for
I
sure.
just, I don't see the ruble, the one. I don't see that. I don't see that taking over. I
Oh,
just don't.
especially the ruble. But well, thanks once again, for throwing us a life vest on some of these things that we keep hearing all the time, because the precious metal people certainly want to take advantage of that situation. So once again, Travis, I think it's a great idea for having a financial advisor and somebody who takes our money and knows what to do with it, and we don't have to worry about it except getting reports every month as to how much we got. So tell people how they can
Right.
talk to you, or talk to, or get a financial advisor in general.
Absolutely, Bill. Give us a call, 877-269-0839. That's 877-269-0839. And I tell you what I'm going to do for your listeners. Anyone who calls in to our office and they mention that you heard our show on this podcast, on this great Patriots podcast, we're going to give 3 20-minute Ask Us Anything sessions. There's no cost, no. It's completely complimentary. It is all on us. We will do that for you. Give us a call, 877-269-0839. Mention that you heard us on Bill Edwards' podcast, and I'll give you 20 minutes on me. Absolutely no cost. So
How
that way they
generous.
can get all their questions answered.
Outstanding. Travis, thanks very much. We'll talk to you again next week. Stay real.
Absolutely, Bill. Look forward to it. Have a happy 4th, my friend.
You too. God bless America. We'll be right back. What a nice gesture on his part. So you give him a call, you get, there's 3 20-minute sessions. It's an hour. Ask him anything you want, and no obligation whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean, could you ask for a better financial advisor? He's upbeat, he's positive. I think that that's someone that you want to, but he's realistic. So,
Exactly. He's done stuff for us. And by the way, full disclosure, he's my wife and I's financial advisor. And he has done wonders for our investments. And in several sessions we've had with him, said, I'm not sure that's such a good idea. And it turned out to be a great idea. So this is the important part of it. These are people that do this all the time. None of us have, unless we are financial advisors, we don't have the time to sit there and watch over all of our money and go to the web and do stock trades or anything else. We could, it's a good way to lose your shirt. But this is the importance of having a fund. It doesn't have to be Travis. There's some good ones around, but have somebody that knows what they're doing, and you can see within a very short period of time how well it's working.
yes, and so go utilize Travis. He is also he's done a lot for us even as a show. So
Yeah.
I would say we definitely would support him and support his business. So give him a call.
By all means. Well, 4th of July weekend is arriving, and that means more travel, but there is trouble on the horizon from weather situations, as well as too many people and not enough airplanes and staff. We'll talk about it with Jay Ratliff, aviation analyst, coming up. At Get Real America, we want to make sure that the real story gets out, and you can help us as a sponsor or as an advertiser to make sure that that word does get out to the community.
Be a sponsor.
Drew, I didn't think this was supposed to be a serious show.
When I grow up, I want to work for a woke company, like super woke.
When I grow up,
I want to be hired based on what I look like,
rather than my skills.
I want to be judged
By my political beliefs.
I want to get promoted
based on my chromosomes. When I grow up,
I want to be offended
By my coworkers.
and walk around the office
On eggshells.
and have my words policed.
By HR. Words like
Grandfather.
peanut gallery. Long time no see.
no can do.
When I grow up,
I want to be obsessed with emotional safety
and do workplace sensitivity training.
all day long. When I grow up, I want to climb the corporate ladder.
just by following the crowd.
I want to be a conformist.
I want to weaponize my pronouns. What are pronouns?
It's time to grow up and get back to work. Introducing the #1 woke-free job board in America, redballoon.work.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
And welcome back to Get Real America. Glad to have you aboard. Always glad to be talking about what's going on in the skies with our good buddy Jay Ratliff, aviation analyst. And Jay, 4th of July weekend here, and going to be a lot of planes in the air, and maybe not. What's going on?
Excuse me, without exception, we're seeing is more people screened this year as we close out June than we had the same time period in 2019 pre-pandemic. And what's telling about these numbers is the fact that we are looking at thousands of fewer flights in the summer travel schedule than what we've had before. And, excuse me, we're seeing more people traveling. So if you're flying, you are definitely going to be in a packed airplane, much more so than what we've seen in the past. So this is something that the TSA and the airlines and the agents and everyone have their hands full. And, of course, we've had bad weather for the last week that's really created a lot of havoc. We have seen almost 30,000 flights delayed and or canceled. And when you have this many people traveling during a very busy summer holiday travel season, there's no place to put them. You have a flight that cancels with 215 people. You don't have an empty airplane to put them on. So you have to spend the next day and a half trying to get everybody to their destination. So it can be problematic. So we're anxious to get back to the boring good weather where everything operates as it's supposed to.
Jay, I've seen some interesting ways to commit suicide before, but jumping into a jet engine is something I'd never considered. What in the world happened out in San Antonio?
Well, it happened Friday night. It was the second time in 6 months that we've had an agent that has been killed on the tarmac by being pulled into a jet engine. Of course, agents are taught from day one when they're on the ramp that anything 15 feet in front of that engine or less when it's running can and is normally deadly. So you're doing everything you can to remind people in the initial training, on the job training, when somebody is at their position, annual recurrent training and everything else, to always be incredibly careful when you're around that engine. Now, we had this horrific situation on Friday night in San Antonio, and we heard from the National Transportation Safety Board this week that they have received word from the medical examiner information that leads them to the conclusion that it was a suicide, and therefore they are not going to open up any investigation. Now, the Federal Aviation Administration that oversees and regulates the industry is going to open up a investigation, and they're going to look into it to see exactly what the details were surrounding it, and hopefully we can learn some more from there. But I tell you, it's just anytime that happens, it is just it's just difficult. Normally, we can go 10 years without having this kind of situation take place, and we've had 2 in 6 months.
Wow, that's how tragic. But it's going to be interesting to see how that all comes to a conclusion. Meanwhile, I understand that hackers are at it again. This time, getting pilot applications. What are the implications here? What's this about?
Yeah, we had a situation. We're just learning it with regards to the information on 8,000 pilot applications for American and Southwest were accessed by a hacker. This is where names, passports, social security numbers, and the pilot license numbers were obtained by these hackers. Now, we had 5,745 applicants at American. We had just over 3,000 from Southwest that were impacted by this. Now, here's the kicker. It happened April 30th. The airlines knew about 2 days later, and it took them more than 7 weeks to tell the pilots that their information had been accessed. Now, obviously, the Union for Pilots, the Airline Pilot Association, none too happy that it took 7 weeks for the applicants to be notified. You know, you would think if somebody gained access to your personal information, that would be something that you'd want to know about, I don't know, sooner than later. The idea that there was 7-week lag time makes absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah, we keep hearing all this time about, when Target or Walmart or something has their situation hacked, and they don't tell the public about it for 2 or 3 weeks. And this has been like almost 2 months.
2 months, exactly. And we've not really received a good excuse. I guess they're having a hard time coming up with a believable one that would indicate exactly why this took place. But I don't know. It's one of those things that just doesn't make sense. But look, this is the wild and wacky world of aviation where things a lot of times don't make sense.
Well, Jay, there was a story this morning, especially that was disturbing about with this being the 4th of July weekend and a lot of people traveling, is that some planes may have to stay on the ground because they're talking about boosting the power of the 5G network to accommodate more people or something like that. And planes that haven't had the upgrade in their technology to handle that might have to stay on the ground.
This was a topic that initially surfaced over a year ago.
Yeah.
When a lot of the communication companies had put towers in place, they were preparing to activate them. And it was at that point in time, not before, for some strange, inexplicable reason, that it was determined, wait a minute, the frequency of these is close to the same setting that we have for airplanes that are on final approach into an airport during times of limited visibility. That may not be a good thing. So these companies were asked by the FAA to hold off for a year, and to their credit, they did that as far as activating these towers that they've spent billions of dollars putting in place. And now we're in a situation where the FAA is still saying, we're not completely convinced that we're ready to go here. Now, what do you do if you're Verizon or one of these other companies that have this much money invested? You've put everything off for a year. And did we think that the government would get their act together in a year? Not me, but sure enough, that's what's happened. And as a result, we're trying to figure out, what's next. Because the situation is this: if these towers are activated and these airplanes are going in and landing at a point where there's limited visibility, some of the approach information could be compromised. So what that would mean is if there is a time where these towers are activated and there's concern and we have limited visibility in an airport, we would simply not land there as we err on the side of caution. And that's exactly what we should do. So it wouldn't be a matter of flights being canceled, as simply as a result of that. They would only be affected if we were operating during times of limited visibility. Well, go to the weatherchannel.com and look at all this smoke and haze and things that's coming from Canada because of the wildfires. We've got nothing but limited visibility. So obviously right now it would be problematic. And as we move forward, that's going to be the case. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to be taking place here, because there's certain aircraft that have been outfitted we don't think there's going to be a problem with, but there's others that we are very concerned with. So as a result, we're going to have to wait and see exactly what's going to take place here, because there's a lot of work that has to be done. And the fact that it has taken a year and nothing really measurable has been done, very disappointing.
Well, I'm sure the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg, is on it.
I'm sure that it's on the top 10 of his list this morning as we speak, to be sure. Now, look, I join you in poking fun at these guys, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm not a fan of the Biden administration at all, but this administration has tried to hold airlines accountable in a way that I've never seen before. And I'm glad. I hope it continues, because the airlines are very much profit driven. Customer service is non-existent. In fact, if you look at Skytrax, organization out of London, they came out with their top airlines of the world. And anytime that happens, I'm always anxious to see if we made the top 20, not the top 10. That's never going to happen, but the top 20 from customer service. And thank God for Delta Airlines, they secured the number 20 spot. So at least we hit the top 20.
Yay!
Customer service in the United States is non-existent, and it's unfortunate because as long as we keep piling into these airplanes, getting treated like crap, there's no incentive for the airlines to ever treat us any different.
Yeah, that's the truth. It's kind of like when I was asking a lady one time who had an extensive experience in traveling with European trains composed to as opposed to Amtrak. She's like, "Oh, please." Yeah, so I know what you mean.
That's a charter bus to a Greyhound comparison there, my friend.
Jay, enjoy your 4th of July weekend. God bless. We'll talk to you again next week.
Looking forward to it, brother. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you. All right. We'll be right back.
Who is a kid? Well, that's a kid. And another. Look, a gaggle of them. Or is it a herd? Litter? Pride. But what about her? Tell her she's not a kid. Or him. So how do we tell who is a kid? Height? Age, maybe. But some of us have to grow up faster than others. A kid. A kid. A kid wants to make the world better. And one day, he just might. Is a kid fearless? Vulnerable? Strong? Nervous? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.
Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a ride. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance, with integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
Come join us today at Sweet Potatoes Kitchen for some of that good Southern home cooking, like fried chicken, fish, and mouth-watering banana pudding. Say it's the best in the world, and you won't get an argument from me. Also, those vegetables are fresh and delicious. Voted Southside's best restaurant in Savannah at least 5 times, and large corporate parties are welcome. Tell them Bill Edwards sent you. Drop by and eat today. Everybody loves sweet potatoes.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Happy 4th of July weekend coming up here. And a lot of you are going to be going out to a lot of parties, barbecues and things.
Yeah.
And one of the staples, of course, is beer.
Yes, and hopefully you're not buying Bud Light.
Most people aren't. I love these. I saw it at a Walmart where they just had a stack of cases and just said, just take one.
Well, I also heard that the joke of the year is you look like someone that would drink a beer in Target or a Bud Light in Target.
Bud Light in Target, yeah.
I was like, well, that is offensive to a lot of people now.
Yes, it is. For sure. So, but you would think that after losing, the market share, which was the most popular beer, the best-selling beer in the last 20 years, that they would want to hold on to that distinction. Just like Ford always advertises about how the F-150 has been the biggest selling pickup truck over the last 20, 25 years, bar none. And you would think, and Ford seems to want to hold on to that. You haven't heard the Ford guy come out yet and say that we're gonna put a transgender guy behind the wheel.
No, but they did have a gay pride truck that they painted, which was
I'm sure
awful.
they did. Yeah, well, welcome to the club.
It was awful, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible. I wish companies would stay out of cultural issues and just sell their products, but that's not the world that we live in.
Just make your stuff. Yes. And let's like performers. So, as Laura Ingraham in her first book said, shut up and sing.
Yes, we would definitely prefer that, but CEO definitely not learning a lesson. I think that he's... I wouldn't say he's doubling down, but I would say he definitely isn't willing to take a stand anywhere. And unfortunately, I think consumers are done, and there are multiple other beer companies.
Oh,
and
yeah. This is generational.
And multiple that are local breweries that people are feeling more confident in supporting. And I'm trying to think of the beer.
I've heard Yingling has been one of the ones that has really profited from all of this. But you would think they would have learned their lesson, would come up with an apology, besides showing us a commercial with the Clydesdales again and a bunch of country guys, having a party.
Treating you like you're dumb.
But apparently not.
Given the moment we're in, this moment in America with trans issues at the top of a Republican social or conservative political agenda, knowing what you know now, if you could go back, would you send this can to this one person again?
There's a big social conversation taking place right now, and big brands are right in the middle of it. And it's not just our industry or Bud Light. It's happening in retail. It's happening in fast food. And so for us, what we need to understand is, deeply understand and appreciate, is the consumer and what they want, what they care about, and what they expect from big brands.
So this is part of why you're getting it from all sides, because I asked you, would you do it again? And people on the trans rights side of things, supporting that community, want you to say, yes, of course, we want that fortitude. And people on the right would criticize you for saying yes. So where are you on the issue? I mean, was this a mistake?
You know, Bud Light has supported LGBTQ since 1998, so that's 25 years. And as we've said from the beginning, we'll continue to support the communities and organizations that we've supported for decades. But as we move forward, you know, we want to focus on what we do best, which is brewing great beer for everyone, listening to our consumers, being humble and listening to them, making sure that we do right by our employees, take care and support our partners, and ultimately make an impact in the communities that we serve.
Okay, so the last line that he said, the communities that we serve, that is such a corporate line that they use, and it is, I'm sick of hearing that from corporate companies because they definitely don't put their money where their mouth is.
Just make the beer. Okay, and if you want to donate to these left-wing loons and cretins, go ahead. But it's not your job to take a stand politically.
No, and our friend Steve Stanton is with us this morning. He says, no Bud Light ever. Too late for apologies.
Yeah, really.
And Lizzie,
this is generational. And it seems to me, Brittany, this guy doesn't care. He talked about how much he cares about his employees. A lot of people are going to be laid off.
Yep.
And lose their job because of this, because they've lost billions.
Yes, and I'm hoping that people can also use their skills from Bud Light and go to a local brewer or like Yuengling. They're making a big splash in the beer market. They're getting more popular.
Big splash.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. But we have a lot of these craft breweries here, right here in Savannah, and use one of those. Beer is not like other alcoholic beverages like wine, where the longer it's fermented and stuff, it gets better with age. This stuff has to be fresh.
Yes.
It needs to be consumed quickly.
Yes, that's why they're giving it away, because otherwise they have to dispose of it, and that costs them more money. So don't buy it. Don't buy into it.
Yeah, but this is generational. This is not good. This generation is not going to forgive them for this.
No, and Lizzie's with us this morning, and she says Bud Light makes new Coke decision look like marketing geniuses. Yeah. Well, many Americans are dumb, so it kind of makes sense for Bud Light to count on the idiocy to work in this case. Being neither hot nor cold, I spew you out of my mouth. Drink water; it's better for you.
Yeah. Well, this is the whole thing. At least Coca-Cola wasn't political on this. It's just that we've decided. Apparently, Pepsi was kind of getting a much bigger side of the market. Pepsi's a little sweeter, so they decided to make a sweeter Coca-Cola. So they called it the New Coke. They even got Bill Cosby, who was at the top of his the zenith of his career, and to be one of their spokesmen. How much better he liked the New Coke, and it didn't work, but. I wanted to be, would you like to be a fly on the wall in this boardroom where they're saying we've got the most popular brand in the history of brands. We've got the best-selling drink in the history of the world. It is the most recognizable name in the history of the world. Let's change the formula. Must have been the same people that said, let's bring 3 interstates together in downtown Atlanta. Yeah, I'm sure that was the same boardroom.
Yes.
And you sit there saying, how could this, just how stupid can you be?
Yeah, and our friend Steve says.
But at least Coca-Cola apologized and went back to the old Coke within about 6 months.
Yes. Well, I like the Mexican Coke, to
be
be honest. Yes, they. They use different sugar.
Oh, do they?
Yes, and so it's better tasting. It's like the Coke of the '90s before they changed to a different type of sugar.
Okay.
So, Steve says the CEO knows the WEF and Fink has his back. I think that tells us a lot about who he is. And Lizzie says an alcohol salesman told me that the younger crowd is not drinking beer as much as in previous generations, so not particularly genius to offend your shrinking customer base.
Just make the beer and shut the hell up.
Yes, message from Bill Edwards.
So heading down the home stretch here.
Yes, and I don't know about you, Bill, but
fireworks
are one of my favorite things. And
oh,
did you know that Americans spend over $1 billion on the 4th of July for fireworks?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm not really surprised. But we have a fireworks store here in Savannah.
Yes.
Phantom fireworks, and one of the out on the south side near the old what's left of the old the south side of Savannah Mall. And I would have never thought in a million years used it. First of all, fireworks used to be illegal in Georgia to sell fireworks in Georgia. We just went across the river in South Carolina because we were close and bought all the stuff over there. So but they're finally selling them here. I would have never thought in a million years that a fireworks store could stay open year round in Savannah, but sure enough, they seem to be doing okay.
Yes, and I will say, so coming from Utah, we have a lot of restrictions just due to the dryness there and the fact that we have a lot of fires started by fireworks.
We have noise restrictions here after midnight and things of that nature.
Yes. Well, we actually just have like the parking lot set up stores that are only allowed to set up 5 days before the holiday. So, but we also have July 24th, which is Utah's Independence. So we have 2 big days of fireworks in July, which is fun.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So, but don't let your home look like this this weekend.
After fireworks, yeah.
I think we all have that 4th of July that we remember because we made a mistake with the fireworks.
Yeah.
Don't let that be you, but have some fun this weekend.
Yeah, our son was stationed in Naples, Italy, at that joint command base several years back, and he said it was amazing because Italy has several, and right there near Naples has several fireworks manufacturers.
Oh.
So on he said, so on New Year's, they don't have a 4th of July, of course, over there, but he said on New Year's, the fireworks goes on for hours. It's not like, here where it's 20 minutes and it's over. It just goes on and on. They want to show off their product big time, and they do.
Yes, and countries like Denmark, England, Norway, Portugal, and Sweden all take part in hosting celebrations for our holiday. This is to honor the many citizens who immigrated here. So I think that's also interesting that other people celebrate our independence.
Yeah.
And we have a quick video of the 4th of July and some of the things you may not know.
Yeah.
Every summer, Americans celebrate the anniversary of our nation's birth on July 4th, 1776. That's when the Continental Congress approved the Declaration of Independence, the revolutionary document in which the 13 American colonies announced they were free from British rule. But bet you didn't know, some people think we should actually celebrate on July 2nd, not the 4th. That was the day the delegates actually voted on the Declaration. They just didn't have the written document completed and printed until the 4th. Ready for some more 4th of July facts? Well, for starters, Philadelphia's famous Liberty Bell was not rung on July 4th, 1776. Its big moment came 4 days later, on July 8th, to honor the first public reading of the Declaration. No fewer than 3 presidents, all of them among the nation's founding fathers, died on Independence Day. John Adams and Thomas Jefferson died hours apart from each other on July 4th, 1826, 50 years after the nation declared its independence from Britain. James Monroe also died on July 4th, in 1831. From the beginning, Americans marked the birth of independence with parades, speeches, music, and public readings of the Declaration. Artillery salutes, a key feature of the earliest Independence Day celebrations, went out of fashion as cannons fell out of use by the late 19th century. But there's one early tradition that hasn't gone out of style: fireworks. Congress first authorized pyrotechnics as part of 4th of July celebrations way back in 1777. Today, more than 14,000 fireworks displays go off across the nation every July 4th. The largest of these is the Macy's 4th of July Spectacular in New York City. Some 75,000 pounds of fireworks go off during the roughly half-hour show, which is attended by 2 million people. And since 1941, most Americans have gotten to enjoy a little relaxation with their fireworks. Congress made Independence Day a federal legal holiday that year. And we bet you didn't know, it's one of only 4 federal holidays, along with New Year's Day, Veterans Day, and Christmas, that are celebrated on the same calendar date each year.
Love the 4th of July, and I loved some of those facts in the video.
It is great. Our son was, again, after he got back from Italy, was stationed at Fort Detrick, Maryland, which is about 45 minutes from Washington, D.C.
Uh-huh.
He said that nothing compares to the Washington, D.C. fireworks display, at least when we had Americans running the government.
Yeah, maybe when we get another Republican in office, I'll head up there, but not till then.
Yeah, let's hope so. Well, God bless. Have a great 4th of July weekend. Stay safe. Drive carefully. And
Yes.
if you're flying, good luck.
Yes. Check us out on YouTube, Vimeo. Download our new app, The Local Spin. We're carrying a couple new shows there, The Candace Taylor Show, as well as we have a new show that will be debuting in July with Drew. And I'm excited about that show. And we will see you guys next week.
Yeah. Stay real.